Hello Aries, welcome to your weekly tarot reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. Okay? Remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And here is a Queen of Discs. That will be our starting point today, and we're going to do the rest of our Dove and Serpent spread. And as I lay these cards out, I also want to say that if there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know in the comments. Okay? So we're finishing up with the Dove and Serpent spread. A lot of interesting energy here today. We're going to do our mystery card, our bonus card, our confirmation card. And for that, we're going to use the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. A lovely deck. I don't use it often enough. And that card we're just going to set down over here. We're not going to look at it until the very end. Okay. So I would appreciate if you stuck around till the end of the video. We could find out if that mystery card would tie everything together, maybe give us the missing piece of this puzzle. Okay. So looking around now, we have fire, we have water and air, a couple of court cards. We've got major arcana, some air and some earth. It's a fair balance. I think that there is a little bit of an absence of water, right? We see this Five of Cups down here beneath everything. So I think the situation that's going on this week, let's say in the next 7 days or so, probably something that's already going on in your life. I think it has a strong emotional component. I think it's something that you are having some feelings over. You might be a little bit upset about something that's going on, right? And I really do. I think that this is you, okay, first of all. This is you as a Queen of Discs. I think that you have plenty of responsibilities in your life. I think that you are in charge of things. You have a lot of weight on your shoulders. You're making decisions. You're making moves. You're trying to be successful and creative and happy and fulfilled. You've got a lot to do for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones. And I don't feel that you're overwhelmed by this at all. I feel like you enjoy being very active. You enjoy getting things done. I think you're someone that really feels satisfied at the end of the day, you know. And you're kind of sitting there at the end in the evening, maybe having a cup of tea or some hot chocolate or maybe a late cup of coffee. And you are just thinking back over the day, and it brings with it a real sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. You know, I think you're really achieving a lot in your life. That being said, I feel that there is a Princess of Swords, maybe a younger air sign person, that you are having some difficulty with. Here is the Seven of Swords. And I think this difficulty is really is all based on love and emotion, right? We have the Five of Cups down here beneath everything. So everything that we talk about now, we have to remember that it has its foundation in love and care and concern for their well-being, for their future, for their happiness. It's a real compassion and an empathy that we have, okay? I feel like with the Seven of Swords, though, they're not very open or receptive to what you're trying to communicate to them. Okay? It feels to me like they might be living their life in such a way or going down a road that maybe you've been down that road before, but you certainly know where that road leads. So you're trying to offer them some perhaps unsolicited advice. Okay? And I think that's because you care for them. We have this foundation of love and care and concern. I feel like they're just not ready to listen. you know, whatever they've got going on, it's, it's accurately portrayed by this image. You know, they are committed to their path and their life and what they feel is the road that they want to travel. And all of your words are just like these pesky daggers that just can't really penetrate this Ace of Swords. Now, usually the Ace of Swords is a very positive card, right? But I think in this case, and we're just kind of jumping ahead between cards here today, but with the Princess of Swords, this person is holding that sword, yeah, and that's, you know, a single sword. It's an Ace of Swords, but it's a Princess of Swords, right? It's somebody who maybe has the gusto of somebody who is just starting out, kind of a novice or a neophyte, right? Where they're very enthusiastic. They think they have all the answers, right? They think that the Ace of Swords that they are holding is absolute truth. And that's the position from which they're operating, and nothing you can really say is getting through to them. Okay? Now, I don't know what kind of path they are going down, but whatever it is, I see that you don't agree with their path. Okay? And in the recent past, we've got this Eight of Wands here. And this is telling me that it's something that gave you a feeling of anxiety, right? And that's why I'm kind of saying that you've either been down that road before or you know where that road leads, because I feel that you're kind of nervous. You're kind of shaken up by it a little bit, you know? I feel like they've recently made some choices in their life that you, in your life experience and your wisdom, you know it's going to end not very well. Okay. So with the Eight of Wands, I feel that there's this sense of urgency where you want to get through to them and contact them and kind of make them listen, right? But we can't make somebody listen to us. We try and try and try with this Seven of Swords, but just isn't getting through. Because they're committed to their path. They're holding this Ace of Swords, and they think it is absolute truth. They think that what they are doing, the choices that they're making, the road that they're going down, is the absolute very best. And I think that makes you quite nervous and quite concerned. Now, at the top of everything, we see a Three of Wands. Now, the Three of Wands is your set of principles, your kind of moral code, the way you conduct yourself, the self-respect that you have, right? The boundaries that you have, things that you will and will not tolerate coming into your circle, right? Into your orbit. And I feel like you're kind of at odds with this because on the one hand, you understand the idea that this person, I think they're an adult, and they can make their own decisions, and indeed they have. So it is not quite our responsibility to school them in the maybe the misdirection, right, of their choices. But on the other hand, we have this Five of Cups down here. There's an intense concern, an intense love and empathy for this person where we feel almost compelled to help them. That they're in some kind of crisis, even if they may not admit that. But this reading is not about them, okay? I don't know who they are. I feel like maybe they're an air sign person in your life. I don't know what choices they've made, but I feel like you don't agree with those choices. And in fact, those choices kind of scare you a little bit. They make you a little bit nervous. And there is this very high-minded part of us that knows, look, you have to let people live their life, make their choices, learn from their own mistakes. But on the other hand, we feel like we need to pull them back from the edge when they get too close, right? So how do we reconcile these? Can we hold both of these ideas in mind at the same time? I think, yes, we can. I think that your underlying principle, even though this card's kind of underlying, so maybe we won't say that, your overall kind of life philosophy is let people live, right? Live and let live kind of thing, where it's not within your ethical wheelhouse to decide what's right and wrong for other people, right? And that's generally, I think, how you live your life. Because that's how you want other people to respond to your life. Not everybody agrees with your decisions, you know? And I'm certainly familiar with that. Not everybody agrees with my decisions. But we can also have this underlying compassion and love and feeling and concern and this desire, this motivation to help other people, to pull them back from the edge when they get too close, right? And I don't think these two outlooks are incompatible at all. I think it would be more of a violation of this Three of Wands for you to sit back and do nothing, let them go over the edge, right? Than it would be for you to intervene when it's absolutely necessary, right? I think you practice non-intervention until it's required, until you decide otherwise, you know? And that's the beauty of it, that you have this choice. Because you have this philosophy of life, doesn't mean that this is the way things go 100% of the time. You're not so committed to this in such a frozen, rigid way that you would let people just, person after person, tumble over the edge. Because you have that Three of Wands and you can't budge from that. You're not that rigid, right? So we can flow, and we have the fire, we have the water. These kind of go in different directions. You know, these two cards here, especially in the Eastern philosophy, the fire and the water, or heaven and earth, they don't mix. You know, if they're one goes up, one flows down. And that's kind of in nature too. Fire goes up, water goes down. But they're not incompatible when these two must clash, right? The Three of Wands must, at some point in your life, clash with this feeling of love and compassion, this desire to help, this desire to pull somebody back from the edge. And when these two get together and have their debate, their friction, their conflict, fire, water, we produce the air. We've got a lot of air going on. And I think that's symbolic, but I also think this may be an air sign person. And we see a lot of that steam coming from here and, well, the Eight of Wands as well. So I don't know if you're going to end up getting through to this person or convincing them. I don't know if they're going to heed your advice. But I almost feel that now you're kind of ethically bound to intervene, to help them, to at least voice your concerns, right? To at least make it known and try to get through to them, try to communicate to them, even though it feels like they don't want to hear it. Let's move over to the path of the Serpent now and see what else could be going on here, or how this energy might progress as the days go on. Okay, see Hermit energy here to begin with. Now this could be partly the energy that you're perceiving. Okay, now I want you to connect directly with these images and these energies, apply them to your situation. I feel like this might be that air sign person. Okay. Now we're calling them an air sign person, but this card rules the sign of Virgo. It could quite possibly be that they are a Virgo, and the air that we see on the path of the dove is the communication, the steam that's resulting from the fire and the water mixing together, right? Being in conflict. So it could be that they are a Virgo, maybe an earth sign in general. But the way that we're perceiving them is that they are withdrawing from society, that they are turning their back on what's right, or what you consider to be right, the good path, you know. They're turning their back on friends, family, they're withdrawing, they're isolating. And you know these signs, you've seen these signs before, or you've been through them yourself, you know. So we're watching this person do this, and in some ways we are helpless to act, helpless to make an impact, to really do anything, right? With the Eight of Wands, this is almost frantic. This is almost scrambling to literally do anything you can to hold on to this person, to unconventional methods. This is just like last-ditch efforts. It's the Hail Mary in every direction, right? This is every play in your playbook in order to make an impact on this person, to get through to them. But I feel like there's just not the communication. There's just not there's not an open channel here, you know. Going from the 7, which is this person's very staunch commitment to the path that they've taken, and they are resisting any attempt to communicate, to even have, you know, a conversation. They reject that, right? They are so committed to what they're doing that there's really no penetrating that. And it feels like the more we try to get through to them, the more they are withdrawing or isolating. And that in turn feeds your fury, really, with this Eight of Wands. It fuels your concern. And then we're kind of right back to where we started. We have the vertical path, right? The vertical axis on the path of the dove. And this is what's going on kind of within you and your own like moral struggle over this. But on the horizontal path, it's your frantic concern, your attempt to communicate, the resistance to that communication, and then we're right back at the beginning with the Eight of Wands. It's a cycle that continues on, right? And we keep going around on this merry-go-round, and we're not making any progress, right? So we're slowly realizing that our tactics are not effective. I apologize for my congestion. I've had this head cold, chest cold for like a month now. So I apologize. But the more we do this, the more we realize that the way we're trying to get through to this person isn't working. You know, there's a breakdown, a further breakdown in communication. The more we try, the more we push, the more we question, the further away they get, the more anxiety we feel, and then the harder we try, you know. What we see next, though, is this Princess of Discs. And this is weird to be in the position of fears and worries, right? So it could be that you are concerned that this person in question is ruining their future. Any potential that they had is being squandered, is being wasted. It's not going to come to fruition, right? So it's almost as if they are kind of destroying their life. The Princess of Discs is intense creative energy given form, just about to be born into the world, right? It could be that this person recently became an adult, turned 18. It could be that they recently moved out on their own. They recently, took those kinds of the initiations, the passages into adulthood, right? Getting started in a career or moving out of the house, that sort of thing. But I think that you're worried about the path that they've taken and the way they may be destroying this very prosperous future that they're capable of. Their potential is being restricted or even kind of destroyed by whatever behavior, whatever choices they're making, right? But what we see next is very curious too, because this is the Ace of Discs. Now, the Princess of Discs is holding the Ace of Discs. So the tarot is asking us to look closer at that disc. Maybe look closer at these choices, you know. Not only do the choices, when we look closely at them, not only do they reflect some of our own choices that we've made in our life. Like I said, you've been down this road before, or you know where it leads. So we're being asked to reflect on our own lives and choices that we have made. And maybe that's a clue about how we can get through to this person or communicate with this person, not through just this air energy, just verbalizing or what they feel is an attack, right? They feel like they're being confronted, and it's, you know, it puts them in a very, like we see here, a very defensive position, very defensive attitude and energy. So, taking a look at our own lives, our own choices, seeing the similarity between what this person's doing, the choices that they're making, perhaps will give us a clue about how we can approach this person in a way that they will resonate with, right? In a way that they will vibe with. I'm almost thinking that when you were that age, you made some similar decisions. Perhaps the people around you had similar concerns that you now have for this person. We're really being asked to take a closer look at these choices, both this person's and our own. And I'm very curious about that. Very curious about that. I almost want to do a couple extra cards here on that Ace of Discs, because I'm curious what might be revealed by taking a closer look at those choices, those decisions, right? Because the tarot is kind of magnifying that for us and saying, look closely at this Ace of Discs, right? Let's see, we're just going to try to clarify that. Well, it's a 10 of discs. The 10 of discs. So it could be that the choices, while they seem incoherent, chaotic, destructive, irresponsible, etc., it could be that they really are leading this person down a necessary path. A path that does have abundance and wealth and health and prosperity at the end of it. Okay? So this is telling me that we don't know the choices that are being made right now. We don't know where they're going to end. And that's probably the first illusion that we need to think about. And I said, remember a couple of times, that you've been down this road before, or you know where it ends. Maybe that's not a true statement. Maybe, in fact, we don't know where these choices end. We don't know where this road ends. We don't know what the ultimate results of these choices and decisions are going to be. Okay. I think that's the first revelation from that Ace of Discs. And then we've got the Moon card. So the Moon card is, yes, maybe someone who is in crisis. It could be, yeah. The Moon energy, the Piscean energy, is kind of the stuff of nightmares. This is someone who is in crisis, who is in the midst of confusion and uncertainty and almost anguish, right? Not able to see clearly, not knowing which direction is up, not knowing which way to go. Could be lost in in addiction, could be lost in, emotional crisis, so many different things. But this is probably one of the most optimistic cards in the entire tarot deck. Because of this beetle pushing that sun, right? There is an inner transformation taking place. And that inner transformation is going to allow this sun, the spiritual sun of personality and soul and spirit, right, as one, unified, a fully illumined consciousness, is rising to illuminate this crisis, this trauma, this darkness, this confusion that we're in. So it could be that the choices this person is making is meant to foster some inner transformation that will allow them, through their own will, their own efforts, to reach this level of illumination and work themselves out of this moon energy, this kind of nightmare landscape, right? So this, I think, is another lesson from that Ace of Discs that we need to take into account. Because I feel like if we have the instinct to pull them back from the edge at the last moment. And that's good. But let's give them room to undergo this inner transformation and see how they might come into this solar energy and have their own illumination. Fight their way through this, right? We have to give them a chance to succeed before we intervene, right? Let's do one more. And there's the Art or Temperance card. I think that one's meant for you, specifically. Because we have the kind of duality or the dichotomy between the fire and the water here with you. Your live and let live attitude, but then your care and concern where you want to help somebody and you don't want to see them suffer, right? This is you trying to wrestle with that opposition within yourself. And I think that's what this reading is mostly talking about, is how you deal with these two kind of conflicting instincts in yourself, right? Wanting to stand back, let people make their own decisions, let them learn and grow and get the experience through their own mistakes, right? Just like we did. On the other hand, we don't want to see them suffer. We want to help them. We want to do everything we can to alleviate any kind of pain or suffering that they're going through. And the combination of those two kind of, ethical questions or imperatives leads to either a lot of steam, a lot of air, a lot of just communication that really doesn't get us anywhere, just a lot of hot air, right? Or it leads to a quite potent alchemical elixir, a very potent medicine for ourselves that we find the perfect combination of these two separate kind of ethical, imperatives. And we create something magical that works for us. And I like that idea. And I like the clarifying cards for that Ace of Discs. I think those are important factors to consider when we are scrutinizing, perhaps, the choices of someone that we care about. But now let's go to this mystery card. We already had a lot of earth energy. We already had a lot of fire, a lot of water, a lot of air. I don't know what this could be. I'm thinking major arcana. No. A Four of Wands. A Four of Wands. This is telling me that whatever this person's going through is a phase, right? It is something that they are just trying to work out. I feel like it will wrap itself up soon. To me, it feels like before you have to snatch them back from the edge. I think that what they're going through is just a way for them to achieve this transformation, to process some of this energy, whatever they've got going on in their life. And you'll see a resolution to this soon, though I think that another cycle of it is coming, and we have to be careful that this isn't a repeating pattern. So it could be an instance where you have to wait for this fire to die down a little bit with them. You have to wait for them to kind of come out of this cycle, come out of this phase, and then you can maybe have that conversation, right? In between cycles, maybe that's where you can voice your concerns. But right now, while they're in the middle of it, they're going to feel extremely defensive over their choices. But once they kind of come out of it, maybe that's when you can have that talk, you know. So I think that, well, kind of like this Four of Wands, the imagery on here, we kind of have to wait for them to return, right? We have to wait for their little journey to end, and then they come back home. And when they come home, we welcome them with open arms, invite them in, make them a meal, and then we have that talk, you know. But trying to do it now, trying to go out into their world and approach them, feels like an attack. It feels like a confrontation. So maybe we wait for them to return home, and then we can proceed with things as we see fit. We're going to proceed with the extended reading. If you want to stick around, you can click on the link that's right here. I want to thank you for letting me read for you this week. And this was your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot.